A group, Partnership to Engage Reform and Learn, has called for the adoption of social protection at all levels of government. This was as the group organized a dialogue with civil societies and stakeholders in Abuja, the nation's capital. The organizers, while calling on stakeholders to advocate for laws, policies and programs that will contribute to sustainable development in Nigeria, say there is an urgent need for key players to collaborate in the formulation, evaluation and implementation of these programs.
Nigeria must scale up its social protection program. As it is today, the level of poverty is high in Nigeria. All the development indices are poor, whether in terms of fragility, in terms of hunger, in terms of number of children out of school, in terms of life expectancy. All the development indices in Nigeria are poor. Meanwhile, the rate of investment on social protection, which has been shown to be a veritable tool of lifting poor people out of poverty, is very low in Nigeria. Essentially because both citizens and government officials are ignorant of what needs to be done, and the fact that there is a lot of corruption in the system of social protection, and the credibility of the process is at stake because there is no credible national register and there is no automation of the processes in a way that can be transparently monitored. So our argument is that Nigeria, that hosts the largest number of poor people in the world, all its policies should be geared towards lifting people out of poverty. And social protection is a veritable way to achieve that.
You look at the issue of social protection, you want to look at the vulnerable people in the society, you want to look at women, old people, persons with disability, and of course children. And that's why the government program on school feeding is part of it. I know that you are aware that just this morning there's the news about inflation hiking up the cost of school feeding to about 540 billion naira for 10 million children. But when you do the maths of that, 10 million children in Nigeria to be fed by 540 billion. When Nigerians hear that, it's like a huge sum of money. But you break it down, you see that a child would have to spend about just a little, about 200 naira per meal per day. Because that is what it has come to. So per week is about 1,100 naira per child of that 540 billion. So you're looking at it, you want to juxtapose that side by side with different programs that government has had. You know that, for instance, let's take the Hajj, 90 billion naira for people that are going to Hajj, one off, and then you have people who are within the poverty level. It is no longer news that Nigeria hosts the largest number of poor people. The Nigeria Bureau of Statistics came out the other day and told us that 133 million Nigerians are living with multi-dimensional kind of poverty. So it's not just like, it's not education, it's not health, but multi-dimensional. That is, they're not able to put food on their table. They don't have access to water. They don't have access to food. There's hunger in the land, and which is exacerbating the issue of insecurity. When people are hungry, they tend to do other things to themselves. So if government is able to look seriously into the issues of social protection, it's something.
The federal government needs to ensure that the policies it has put in place to try to address the needs of the most vulnerable citizens of our society are carried out effectively. Of course, you saw the crisis around the leadership of the humanitarian ministry. And this type of issues create crisis of confidence among the citizens of the country. And when this type of situations arise, government need to act in a forthright way to reassure Nigerians that it's committed to the ideas which is set out in establishing the ministry in the first place. Government also needs to put money, concrete money, into the funding of social protection programs. We cannot depend solely on support from donor organizations. Of course, I'm not saying that the government is depending solely on funding from donor organizations. I'm aware of the 500 billion investment, but for a big population like Nigeria, this money needs to be substantially increased. Plus, Nigeria can be more creative in trying to create funding subheads for funding social protection.